What's going on, guys? My name is Joey Franzo with Flex Training Systems, and today I'm going to make a video talking about pulling slack in the deadlift. This is by far one of the most complicated things to explain to people, despite how descriptive I can be in trying to explain it to them through text. I felt that it was necessary to make a video to get my point across, because some people just aren't getting it. No matter what I write or how many videos I show them of other people doing it, they're just not getting it. And I know that for me, this was like probably the last thing I learned as a lifter. Like probably the last thing I learned, because I just didn't understand it. I didn't know what I was trying to achieve. And I know that there's a lot of people that have asked me about this specifically. So here's that video I said I was gonna make. So as you can see behind me, I have some nice and easy weights set up, and I'm just gonna kind of go through just some basic cues that anybody can use. I just want to say that pulling slack is something that some people are gonna need to pay more attention to than others. Some people, usually very top lifters that are kind of built for deadlifting, have developed their own kind of technique, and they can kind of get away just doing whatever, and that'll get them to a certain point. But I promise you, if you can learn to pull slack on the deadlift, you're not only going to be able to deadlift more often, so that means you're going to be able to handle higher volumes, but you're going to be injured way less, and deadlifting won't feel as horrible. If anybody's ever done a pin press or anything from a dead stop, it doesn't feel very good. But if you can learn to apply tension and then initiate with the legs, deadlifting is gonna feel way better, and you won't dread it like many people do. All right, so yeah, we're just gonna go right over here, and I'm just gonna set up on the bar and kind of, let's come right over here. I'm gonna set up on the bar and just kind of like go through my cues, and hopefully you guys can try those cues. As long as you're achieving the end goal, which is pulling slack out of the bar before you initiate, then it doesn't really matter how you go about doing it. You can take a breath at the top, you can take your breath at the bottom, you can do whatever. I'm gonna do 1 or 2 reps, no belt, and then I'm gonna show with the belt. The belt, helps you kind of gauge how tight you are, and that's definitely something that is very, very important. I would say more so. You want to be tight on all 3 lifts, but on the deadlift especially, you want to make sure you can just achieve that maximum tightness before you initiate. All right, so some of the cues that I go through when I'm deadlifting, especially when it comes to pulling slack. I set up, get my feet set, and then I'll grab the bar. However, that can be whether you pull hook grip, mixed grip. Doesn't really matter. As long, get your hands set. Let's come right over here so you can see my grip. So this is just how I like to do it. You can take your breath at the top or do it at the bottom. That doesn't really matter. Whatever feels best for you is what's going to be the right way. So grab the bar however you want to grab it, and then I'm going to take my breath here. So pretend my breath is held, and after I hold my breath, I'm gonna externally rotate, flex my triceps, my arms, and what that's gonna do is it's gonna turn my lats on. It's a very common phrase, lats on. Essentially what lats on is doing is making sure that you're gonna keep the bar close to you before you initiate the pull. We don't want the bar drifting out in front, because you're going to create more distance between your levers and the weight, which is going to not only break your back, but make it much harder. You ever see somebody pull their opener? They pull their second attempt, and then like their first attempt barely breaks the ground, they just quit. Like it literally looks like they just quit. That's because the bar got too far out in front of them. And it gets harder the more tired you get to maintain your tightness and to do all these things. So I'm here. Take my breath, or do it at the bottom, whatever, get my grip set. However, I'm gonna get it set, and then I'm gonna, so flex your triceps, lats on, right? So externally rotating, and then that cheek, you're gonna feel like a little, like a clicking noise. This is in a ankle bar. an Ivanko weight on an Ohio bar, so they are meant to fit. So you're not gonna hear it as much, but if you pull on a Texas deadlift bar and you're using Ivankos, they are not meant to fit. And that is when, you know, especially on a deadlift bar, pulling slack is going to be, you know, way more crucial. And you often see guys just yanking the hell out of that bar and like snapping their shit up. So back to where we were, grab the bar, nice and tight. You're gonna feel that little click. I already feel pressure in my lats and my triceps and my back. At this point, before I even bring my hips down, if I were to let go, I'm gonna like pop up, okay? Some people, just the way that they're built, they're gonna be able to pull a shit ton of tension. Someone who comes to mind when doing this is Mike T. He does this whole like routine before he pulls, and you literally see the bar bend, like it's like 750 pounds and the bar will just bend like 5 times. You can visibly see the bar, even a stiff bar will just bend like crazy as he wedges himself down in between the bar, you know, and himself. So that is like the key point, is you have to, that is essentially pulling the slack. You wanna, so you're gonna grab the bar, get set, take your breath, whatever, lats on, triceps, breath, and then as I sit down into position, it is gonna get unbelievably uncomfortable. And again, if you let go, you're gonna pop up. That right there, that is like so pivotal. That is everything that you need to do before you lift the weights off the ground. So now I'm gonna do, you know, that whole sequence again, and then I'm gonna initiate with the legs once I've got everything tied up top, once I've established, you know, that tension and applied that tension into the bar. Then you're gonna initiate with your legs and finish out with the hips. So here we go. I'm just gonna go through my cadences. So that, as opposed to just kind of like grabbing the bar and just throwing everything I got into it, you know, you're gonna knock yourself out of position. You're not gonna move as much weight, and you're not gonna last very long as a lifter. So I'm gonna do one with the belt so you guys can see, and we're gonna have, you know, we're gonna kind of get the camera on my lats and stuff so you guys can kind of see what I mean by lats on. Maybe do a couple from behind, and then, yeah, we'll take it from there. So let's go ahead and cut it. All right, so now we got the belt on. I'm gonna take my breath at the top this time, and just kind of go through all those cues that I mentioned before. So let's go through it real quick. So you can take your breath. If you're gonna take your breath at the top, this is how I would do it. Take my breath at the top. Sit my hand. Then we're gonna flex our triceps and then externally rotate, so that's gonna help us get lats on. Then we're gonna, you know, apply tension into the bar, kind of wedge ourselves in between, you know, us and the floor, the bar and the floor. Everything is maintaining tightness all the way through. We're still holding our breath. We're gonna flatten out our back, head up, chest up. Boom. Initiate with the legs, finish with the hips, and down. So here we go. Time. And then finally, from behind, so you can really see my legs, my arms. Alright, so that feels like there's nothing there. I mean, this is like 50% for me, so, which is not very impressive. But literally, like that first rep, I felt nothing. I didn't even feel the bar. It should feel like nothing is 315, but it makes a dramatic difference in how the weight feels, your confidence, and how frequently you're able to deadlift. So, you know, especially if you compete on a stiff bar, I could have just came up to this thing, you know, it's 315. I don't respect this weight. Just like grab it, yank it, throw it down. Over time, you create micro tears throughout your body, throughout everything, your back, whatever. And like I said, you're not gonna last very long if you yank like that on a bar like this. Especially if you compete in the IPF on that illegal bar. That bar is hell. I hate it so much. But a couple things, you know, I wanted to kind of finish with. If you're kind of an upright deadlifter, like you're a sumo guy and you can get super upright, or you're really short and you can kind of, regardless of, you know, your stance, you have like a very upright start position, it's much easier to kind of, if you look at like the femur and your torso from behind, kind of like this way, you kind of get like a V shape going right here. So just think about, you have your arms here and pretend, it's like the bars are right here and you're kind of, and here are your hips, and you're kind of like wedging yourself in between that. It's kind of hard, it's hard to explain. Like I said, this is like one of the hardest things to explain. But if you start with a very upright position, it's gonna be a lot easier for you because you're not bending over so far and your body just kind of wants to kind of stay up. So if you're an upright sumo puller, probably gonna get it a lot easier than, you know, someone who has to bend over a lot. Like especially somebody like me, I have kind of like short femurs, which is why I have a good squat, but I have a long body. So it's, you know, it's very, very difficult, and it was a very difficult concept for me to understand. But it has made, you know, a world of difference in how frequently I'm able to deadlift, and just like my overall attitude towards deadlifting in general. So yeah, that's the video, guys. I hope that was able to help some of you. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. I know, you know, pulling slack can be a very difficult concept to grasp, but it has been a key in not only coaching the deadlift, but you know, helping me train my deadlift and make those little snail games that it's been making over the years. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, subscribe if you want to see more powerlifting, just fitness, you know, life-related stuff. And other than that, I'm out of here, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace. Really quickly, if anybody is interested in purchasing any of these kind of, you know, fun lifting, superhero movie, you know, Star Wars, Marvel, whatever related shirts, description down below. Go to flexcomics.com. You use code TINA10. They literally have like probably over 100 different themed shirts. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next video.